All right, everybody, it's Sandy Clarkson here with you with the process video for My Creative Scrapbook. I've got a lot of this already done or figured out, but I'll explain a little bit of that to you, and maybe that will be helpful. I was actually going to use this piece of paper with a different paper, the one with the brown polka dot and the bicycle on the back side. And I actually cut this paper so I could do that. I was going to put it like the top third and then the other paper the bottom 2/3 or something like that. But then I just decided to do the sketch this month, which we got, in your kit. And in the design team group, it is posted like this, with this being the top. However, everything is actually, the print is all going the other direction, and these hearts over here are going the other direction. So just as with any sketch, you can always, rotate it. You can flip it, horizontally or however you want. But it is posted in the design team group like that. So that was kind of what I was looking at when I started it. And so I took a piece of purple paper to be the banner portion, and I think I made that at 4.5. Better go this way or use my other ruler. So yeah, that's at about 4.5, and then I made this at 10.5. And then I went ahead and adhered that and just kind of did it, eyeballed it equidistant. I've got a butterfly up there in case I want to, a bumblebee in case I want to put it up there. But this is a photo that I was wanting to use, and it was some tulips that a friend gave me last year for my birthday, and they got really long and leggy. And I thought, oh no, they weren't going to look very nice, but actually they looked beautiful to me because it was just like a piece of artwork. They were just arched in just this elongated kind of fashion, and it was really very pleasant and did my heart good. So I took a picture of them several times, and I think this is the best one to get all the little tulips in there. So that's going to be my photo, and the sketch shows the photo being kind of square, but you don't have to do that. But then there is like a little piece that goes behind the photo, and I just, I kind of saw that at the last minute, so I made that at, a couple inches, maybe, 2.5 inches, and then, so I think that is what I'm actually going to kind of slip under there, and I may trim that away a little bit. And then, let's see. Oh, then I decided to grab one of the 4x6s instead of a piece of paper, just because I was kind of wanting to use all the little writing and everything on the honey jar. But then I decided to go ahead and kind of tuck it under the photo, like that. And then I'm going to cut away some of that bumblebee paper. And so I was going to go like that. And then that little heart-shaped paper kind of looks like it's about, 4 or 5 inches by 4 or 5 inches. And so I think I made this one at about, it's about 5 inches by 5 inches. So it was a scrap. Almost everything I've selected was just kind of a scrap. So I thought I could put that under there to be that piece. And then I was thinking about not doing a doily or anything, but then I knew there was this round piece in the ephemera pack that, I could use right there. But then I was wanting to use this little 3x4, and I wanted to put it right there to maybe be my journaling, was kind of my original thought. And then I decided, no, I really wanted to write up, you know, about the flowers. And so I cut one of the pieces from the journaling paper. Let me pull that over here. And I've used a few things already, but I was thinking about one of these pieces, but then I knew I had more to say, and so I picked this one, and so I decided that I wanted that, you know, to go, you know, right along there some way. And so then I decided, well, I could just I still wanted to use this a little 3x4, so I thought, well, I could just go ahead and put it like that, and then bring the round piece, you know, over right there, or kind of, you know, in that area, but maybe even right there, because I do want the honey and sunshine lavender light to show as much as possible. I could tuck it a little bit and, you know, you could see it, and then have that over there. So see, things are getting kind of messy, aren't they? You know, and then that's kind of when I noticed that this little gray piece down there, and I was going like, okay, I've got to do another layer. And so I decided to use this honeycomb paper, and that will kind of go along here. And I actually be kind of like that, but I want mine to be moved over just enough that the honey, this little piece, I selected this one from the cardstock stickers. So from this page right here, it's right there. There is also a piece of ephemera like that doesn't have the sticky on the back. So I'm going to kind of move things over so I can kind of put that right there. And then I wanted to also, I was looking at this pretty little piece, and I thought it kind of complemented this one over here because they both are built on honeycomb, and I felt like things were kind of vacant up here. So I was thinking about putting that up there, and then maybe, I don't know, that little satchel full of lavender. And then I thought I was looking at either the white flowers, you know, to go here and there, but I'm kind of leaning toward going with the lavender. Things are getting kind of loosey-goosey, aren't they? And, you know, put that there, and then put some florals here. Or actually, according to the sketch, they would probably go here. But then that looks kind of vacant right there, so I'd probably want another floral of some kind to go right there. So something like that is kind of what I've been thinking. And I also had another floral that could go up here with this, but I don't need it if I use that satchel, or I might even could use that right there so it wouldn't really detract so much. Or I could just go ahead and put it right there because that's kind of what I like. I don't know, I like it both ways. So I'm gonna have to play around with that, and that's where I am. Oh, I also had this little bit that I thought I could tuck in up here because it looked kind of empty, because that's more or less solid cardstock, you know, and then the bee, I could bring in the bee to be part of that little like floral cluster. So this is kind of where I am. And then, you know, the sketch does have some X's and some O's. I don't know if that's supposed to be like a visual triangle, because there's just really these two clusters right there. So maybe they're just to counterbalance the cluster. So anyway, that is what I've got going. And I would say you could use it like that if you want to. Although if I was going to do this, I'd probably reverse the fishtail on the, you know, on the sketch or on my layout. But you could do either way, whatever is pleasing to your eye, is what I would say to do. So I don't think you really want to sit and watch me assemble everything, but I'll kind of leave the camera on and see what kind of mess we make. Or maybe I'm just going to go ahead and inherit everything, kind of like I said, until we get to the florals, and then we can talk about the florals. All right, let me get it all glued down. Okay, even though I've glued some things down, I still have more work to do. I did kind of group together as a single unit some of those items that I was showing you earlier that are, focal papers around the photograph, which I actually do reprint my photograph and lighten it up because it just looked so dark when I started doing my photography. I realized how dark it was, so I reprinted it and was able to lay it on top of the old one, even though I had to lift up a few things that were sticky, so it worked out. But anyway, so I am still playing with the florals and other items to complete the page, and I am looking around at what my options are. I'm feeling like I need a little something to go in that corner right there, and I do finally find a floral cluster, but there I am going ahead and committing to tucking in that little 3x4 right there and the circular piece as well, because they weren't part of my unit, if you will. And I didn't distress any of these, although you could, it just depends on how much you want them to pop. I just was kind of liking everything like it was. And you can see I did print how I kind of wanted my page to be, so I would have something to go by, even though I had the sketch to go by. But I'm playing with my florals, and I think I finally figure out that large one on the left is a little bit too large, so I think I move it. How do I not remember that? I just did it yesterday. Anyway, I've decided to mount my journaling on some corrugated cardboard just because that's really one of the important aspects of the page, in my opinion. Was I really wanted a reminder of why did I take a picture of these long-legged tulips. And you wouldn't think that they would be so graceful and so pretty, but they really are, and I just enjoyed them so much. I decided to add a little flower up there at the top to kind of fill in that blank area. And then also I add in a bumblebee to be there alongside the florals, and I mount it on one of those little teeny tiny foam squares. So that part is kind of taken care of. And here I am still playing with my flowers, which I do for a good long time. I did realize that if I was going to put it there, that it needed something to counterbalance it because it was so heavy. And I think this is where I finally realized that, my large flower was just too large for over there on the left and would be better off being on the right. But I still have one single flower. Whoops, there I go back. So we'll keep playing along, looking at the sketch. And the sketch has got a lot going on. It's got X's and it's got O's. And, I didn't really have anything that would replicate that. But you could, if you wanted to stitch, or if you have a stamp that's an X or something like that. But I was just looking at the sketch and thinking, where is the visual triangle here? So this is more of a mishmash, if you will, of lots of different elements. And I'm thinking I do want the photograph to be a primary element, and I do want the journaling to be a primary element. But here I grabbed one of my little pieces of paper that has on my ephemera kind of laid out on black cardstock so I can see it better. And I realized that gigantic piece of florals right there really kind of fills in that gap. and yet it's not multi-dimensional, so you know it's going to be a nice piece to tuck in right there. So I'm going to go with that, and then I decided to go ahead and glue some florals down. For this project, I'm using art glitter glue, which I think gets a little bit stopped up, and so I don't use it on my next project. I need to get all my glues out and make sure everything is good to work with. I kind of do that in between kits. I take the opportunity to clean off my desk really good, clean up my media mat, make sure all my products are ready to go, which means the nozzles are open and free for the adhesive to come through. Just while we're watching here, I want to remind you that details on how to order a kit are in the description box below. And also, if you would like to see more of my content in your feed, be sure to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to get more of my content in your feed. And that also helps push it out for other people who want to watch process videos. So thanks for doing that. I'm going to add a little bee right there in the corner of that 3x4. And then I'm playing around with adding a long stem alongside my photograph. But first we're going to stop and adhere another bumblebee. Like I said in one of my other videos, I really like bumblebees on a layout. And there I realized I haven't glued that down, so I glue it down. Got my bumblebee there, and you'd think that's full, but actually I come in later and add one more element. I added a foam square right there just because it was kind of weighty with that bumblebee and the foam square on there, so I wanted it to have some support. So I'm looking back over my options here. There's so much in this kit. I feel like I wanted something else to go right there in that corner. And I'm thinking it's kind of busy, but it just needed a little something else. And so I really decided that it would work. And I thought about maybe cutting out some of the little honeycomb. But I do end up with that little floral bit. And I'm trying right there a single flower that's from the ephemera pack. And that would work as well. You know, I try to make it work, actually, I think. But it just didn't seem to be enough. And so I do end up moving that and adding it elsewhere. So there, I know those are pretty, and I want them to go somewhere. So, you know, here's where I kind of give in and realize, yeah, I think they need to go over there. I really apologize for my videos being so long this month. I know that seldom people have half an hour or so to sit and watch a video, but I was just chatty Cathy this month. And here I remember those hearts, and I just love those hearts in the kit for some reason. They just are a great element to add in, you know, with all the honey and the bumblebees and something else. It's just another little icon that, you know, works well. And I wanted something to go right there, and you'd think that that was really full with all I've got going on, but no, I think that it needs one more thing, and so it's going to have a heart over there as well. All right, it's about time for my finished project and also for my close-ups. Thanks so much for coming by today. Can't wait to see what you do with your kit.